Did you know that one of the greatest detective movies ever made was actually directed by a first-time director? That's right. The Maltese Falcon, released in 1941, brought movie magic to life in a way nobody expected. This film became so famous that it changed Hollywood forever. Humphrey Bogart became a superstar. The style of detective stories on film was never the same again. But behind all that success, there were strange stories, weird decisions, and surprising moments nobody talks about. The people who made this movie didn't know they were creating a masterpiece. They just knew they had an interesting story to tell. Let's dive in and discover 20 weird and amazing facts about the Maltese Falcon. Number 20. The book came first, but it wasn't famous. The Maltese Falcon started as a book written by Dashiell Hammett in 1930. Most people thought it was just another detective story. Nobody knew it would become one of the most important crime novels in American history. The book was exciting and different, but it didn't sell millions of copies right away. Hollywood noticed it, though. The studios saw something special in those pages. They loved the tough detective character named Sam Spade. They loved the mysterious bird statue made of gold and jewels. But here's the weird part. They almost didn't make a movie about it at all. The story was adapted into a film twice before the 1941 version. Those earlier films didn't work very well. Nobody remembers them anymore. It looked like the Maltese Falcon was cursed. But one more try changed everything. It took 3 chances to get the story right. Number 19. Humphrey Bogart wasn't the first choice for Sam Spade. Here's something strange about movie history. Humphrey Bogart almost never played Sam Spade. The studio wanted other actors first. They thought about big stars who were more famous at that time. Bogart was considered a tough guy actor, but not the most famous one. The studio didn't see him as the perfect detective. Bogart had been working in Hollywood for years without becoming a huge star. He played bad guys. He played minor roles. Nobody thought he would become the face of detective movies forever. But something magical happened when Bogart read the script. He understood Sam Spade's character in a way nobody else did. He found the darkness in Spade. He found the loneliness. He made Spade real. When the director, John Huston, saw Bogart in the role, he knew he had found his star. One different choice could have meant a completely different movie. Bogart's talent was waiting for the right moment. Number 18. This was John Huston's first movie as director. This is one of the most unbelievable facts about the Maltese Falcon. John Huston had never directed a movie before, not once. He was a writer. He had worked on scripts. He had helped other directors. But he had never sat in the director's chair and made his own film. The studio took a huge risk. They gave a first-time director one of their most important projects. There was no safety net. If the movie failed, nobody would care about John Huston ever again. But Huston was confident. He believed in his vision. He believed in the story. He believed in Humphrey Bogart. And he made the right choices at exactly the right moments. The movie came out perfect. It became famous immediately. John Huston went from nobody to somebody overnight. His first film became a classic. His first film changed movie history. Most directors make 10 bad movies before they make one good one. Huston made a masterpiece on his first try. That wasn't luck. That was pure genius. Number 17. The bird statue was worth less than you think. In the movie, everyone fights over a beautiful bird made of gold and jewels. This Maltese Falcon is supposed to be priceless. People die for it. People lie for it. The whole story revolves around this treasure. But here's the truth that might surprise you. The bird statue used in the movie wasn't real gold. It wasn't real jewels. It was made from plaster and paint. It looked beautiful under the lights. It looked expensive. It looked worth millions of dollars. But it cost just a few $100s to make. The prop department created it carefully. They painted it perfectly. The camera showed it in just the right way. The lighting made it shine like real treasure. But what the actors held in their hands was basically a fancy toy. This teaches us something important about movies. Sometimes the most valuable-looking thing on screen is almost worthless. The magic comes from how you film it. The magic comes from what the audience believes. The bird wasn't precious because of what it was made from. The bird was precious because the characters believed in it. Number 16. Mary Astor almost lost her career. Before this film, Mary Astor played a beautiful and dangerous woman named Bridget O'Shaughnessy in the movie. Her performance was perfect. Her character was mysterious and sexy and smart. She was one of the reasons the movie worked so well. But Mary Astor's life was complicated before she got this role. Years before the Maltese Falcon, Mary Astor had problems in her personal life. There was a scandal. Her reputation was hurt. Some studios didn't want to work with her. Her career had started to fall apart. She needed a great role to save her reputation. She needed to prove she was still a talented actress. The Maltese Falcon gave her that chance. Her performance reminded people why they loved her. She showed Hollywood that she was still one of the best actresses around. The film brought her career back to life. The weird thing is that this tough, dangerous detective story became her redemption. A movie about crime and lies helped a real person find truth and respect again. Sometimes you get a second chance at the perfect moment. Number 15. The movie was made in just 21 days. Think about how long it takes to film a movie today. They shoot for months. Sometimes they shoot for a whole year. They do scene after scene after scene. They film the same moment 20 times. They tried different ways to make the story work, but the Maltese Falcon was different. Director John Huston shot the entire film in just 21 days. That's only 3 weeks. Not a month. 3 weeks. They had no time to waste. They had no time to do things over and over again. If an actor made a mistake, they might have to keep going. If a scene didn't work perfectly, sometimes they couldn't fix it. The actors had to know their lines perfectly. The cameraman had to get the shot right almost every time. The whole crew worked like a machine. Everyone knew exactly what to do. There was no confusion. There was no sitting around. Everyone understood the goal. They were going to make a masterpiece in 3 weeks, or they were going to fail. That kind of pressure would break most filmmaking teams. But this team stayed strong. They made magic in 21 days. Number 14. Peter Lorre's character wasn't really important to the plot. In the movie, an actor named Peter Lorre played a weird and funny character named Joel Cairo. Joel Cairo shows up in the story. He causes trouble. He makes things complicated. He's strange and interesting to watch. But here's something strange. Peter Lorre's character doesn't really matter to the main story. You could remove Joel Cairo from the movie and the plot would still work exactly the same way. He's not the main bad guy. He's not the main good guy. He's just there, causing chaos, making people laugh and feel uncomfortable at the same time. But Peter Lorre was so good in the role that nobody cares. He brings so much energy and personality that you forget he's not important. His weird accent, his strange laugh, his strange behavior. He makes you remember him even though his character could disappear from the story. This shows how good acting can make an unimportant character feel important. It shows how one talented actor can change the entire feeling of a movie. Peter Lorre wasn't hired to be the main character. He was hired to be strange and entertaining. And he became unforgettable. Number 13. Bogart and Astor had very different acting styles. Humphrey Bogart and Mary Astor had to act together in many scenes. They had to create chemistry. They had to make the audience believe they could fall in love. But they approached acting in completely opposite ways. Bogart believed in realism. He wanted acting to look natural. He didn't want it to be theatrical or fake. He wanted it to feel like real life. Mary Astor came from a different style of acting. She had trained in a more theatrical way. She believed in showing emotion. She believed in making feelings big and visible. She believed in performance as art. When they acted together, these two different styles somehow created magic. Bogart's calmness made Astor's emotion feel more real. Astor's passion made Bogart's coldness feel more mysterious. They were opposites. They were fighting against each other. But that made their scenes better. The tension between them wasn't just in the story. The tension was in how they chose to act. Different styles somehow made the perfect partnership. Sometimes the best art comes when people who think completely differently work together. Number 12. The Falcon itself has a long history in stories. The Maltese Falcon isn't a real bird made by real jewelers, but the idea of a beautiful statue worth a fortune shows up in stories for hundreds of years. Writers have written about valuable things that people fight over since ancient times. The ancient Greeks had stories about treasures that brought bad luck. Medieval stories told about magical objects that people died trying to get. The Maltese Falcon is part of a very old tradition. It's the same kind of story that grandparents tell children. It's the same kind of treasure hunt that people have always loved. Dashiell Hammett took that ancient idea and put it in a modern detective story. He put it in 1930. He put it in a big city with cars and phones and modern life. But the heart of the story was ancient. The heart was about desire. The heart was about what people will do when they want something badly enough. The movie took that old idea and made it new again. It mixed old and new together. The result was something that felt both modern and timeless. That's why people still love the Maltese Falcon today. Number 11. The director followed the book. Almost exactly. John Huston had a strange way of directing. He decided to follow Dashiell Hammett's book very closely. He didn't change the story much. He didn't add new scenes. He didn't make things up. He took the words from the book and turned them into pictures. Some of the dialogue in the movie comes directly from the book. The plot happens the same way. The characters say similar things. The way scenes happen matches the book closely. This was unusual for Hollywood at that time. Most directors changed books. They made them shorter. They added movie magic. They made things more dramatic. But John Huston thought the book was already perfect. He thought Hammett knew what he was doing. He thought the best way to make a movie was to honor the original story. This respect for the book made the movie better. It made the movie feel real and complete. The movie wasn't trying to be something bigger than the book. The movie was trying to be a perfect translation of the book. The movie was trying to bring words to life without changing them. That respect for the source material helped make the Maltese Falcon into a masterpiece. Number 10. Sidney Greenstreet was also in his first movie. Sidney Greenstreet played a big, powerful crime boss named Caspar Gutman. Gutman is scary. Gutman is smart. Gutman controls everything in his world. Sidney Greenstreet's performance is one of the best things about the movie. His character is unforgettable, but here's something crazy. The Maltese Falcon was Sidney Greenstreet's first movie ever. He had acted in theater. He had acted on stage in front of live audiences. But he had never filmed a movie before. John Huston brought him in for this role. Greenstreet was in his 50s when he made his movie debut. That's very old for a first film. Most actors make their first movie when they're young. But Sidney Greenstreet waited his whole life, and when he finally made his first movie, it was a masterpiece. His theater training helped him. He understood how to create a character. He understood how to make people believe him. He brought a level of professionalism that a younger actor might not have. The Maltese Falcon brought two first-time movie makers together. John Huston was a first-time director. Sidney Greenstreet was a first-time actor. Together they created something magical. It wasn't their experience that mattered. It was their talent and their courage. Number 9. The original script was very different. John Huston started with Dashiell Hammett's book, but before he filmed anything, he had to write a script. This script is what the actors would read and say out loud. But Huston's first script was different from the final movie. He changed things. He took things out. He made the story tighter and faster. He removed scenes that weren't necessary. He cut dialogue that didn't matter. He made the script lean and mean. With every cut and every change, the story got better. It got faster. It got more exciting. This process of rewriting and changing is called editing the script. Many directors hate doing this work. It's hard to cut scenes you love. It's hard to remove words you think are good. But John Huston was willing to make difficult choices. He was willing to cut anything that didn't serve the story. This is why the movie feels so tight and perfect. Nothing is wasted. Every scene matters. Every line of dialogue matters. The final script was lean and strong. There was nothing extra. There was nothing that didn't belong. That kind of discipline made the movie into a masterpiece. Sometimes the most important work is cutting away what you thought you loved. Number 8. The lighting created a specific mood. The movie looks like a dark, dangerous place. It looks like nighttime. It looks like shadows and mystery. This feeling comes partly from the lighting. The cameraman and the lighting director chose to use lots of shadows. They didn't use bright, happy light. They used harsh light and deep shadows. This kind of lighting is called film noir style. Film noir means black film in French. It's a style of filmmaking that became very popular after the Maltese Falcon. But the Maltese Falcon didn't invent the style. The cinematographer, the person who operates the camera, understood that this story needed darkness. This story needed shadows. This story needed to look mysterious and dangerous. So they created that world with light and shadow. They knew that shadows make people feel worried. Darkness makes people feel like something bad might happen. The lighting told the audience to be nervous. The lighting told the audience to be careful. The lighting helped tell the story without words. People didn't realize this was happening. They just felt afraid and excited. The light was invisible, but it was doing important work. The invisible parts of filmmaking are sometimes the most important. Number 7. The police lieutenant was based on a real cop. The character of Lieutenant Dundee appears in the movie. He's a police officer who investigates crimes. He asks questions. He tries to catch the bad guys. But he's also corrupt. He takes money. He plays both sides. This character wasn't just made up. He was based on real police officers that Dashiell Hammett knew when he was a detective. Before Hammett became a writer, he worked as a real detective for a detective agency. He knew real cops. He knew corrupt cops. He knew how the system worked. He understood that sometimes good cops did bad things. When Hammett wrote the book, he used his real-life knowledge. He created a character that felt real because he had seen real people like that. When John Huston adapted the book, he kept this character because it made the story real. It made the story feel like it could actually happen. You don't see fantasy or magic in this movie. You see real people making real mistakes. You see real cops doing real crimes. This keeps the audience believing the story is true. The strongest fiction is always based on truth. Number 6. The movie used real San Francisco locations. The Maltese Falcon takes place in San Francisco, California. It's a specific city with real streets and real buildings. John Huston decided to film the movie using real San Francisco locations. He didn't build fake sets that looked like San Francisco. He took his actors and his cameras to real places in the city. He filmed on real streets. He filmed near real buildings. The audience could see the actual city where the story took place. This choice made the movie feel real and alive. You could believe these characters walked on these actual sidewalks. You could believe they entered these actual buildings. The city became a character in the story. San Francisco felt like a real living place. This was expensive and complicated. It was much easier to build fake sets in Hollywood. But John Huston wanted reality. He wanted the audience to see and feel the real city. This choice is one of the reasons the Maltese Falcon feels so real. The location isn't fake. The setting isn't pretend. The setting is San Francisco, and you can feel it. You can see the streets. You can see the city. The city supports the story and makes it stronger. Number 5. The ending was shocking for audiences. In 1941, today, we understand that detective stories don't always have happy endings. We understand that good guys don't always win. We understand that the world is complicated. But in 1941, audiences expected happy endings. They expected the good guy to get the girl. They expected the good guy to keep the treasure. They expected the bad guys to go to jail. But the Maltese Falcon doesn't give audiences what they expected. The ending is dark. The ending is complicated. The ending is sad. The treasure turns out to be fake. The girl turns out to be a criminal. The detective has to arrest her. The detective wins, but loses everything. Audiences walked out of theaters not sure how they felt. They didn't expect sadness. They didn't expect tragedy. They didn't expect a detective story where nobody really wins. This shocked audiences. This surprised audiences. This made people think about the movie after they left the theater. The ending stayed in their minds. The ending made them uncomfortable, and that discomfort made the movie better. Great art should make you think and feel. Great art shouldn't always make you happy. The Maltese Falcon made audiences feel many things. That's why it became important. Number 4. The budget was tiny for such an important movie. The Maltese Falcon was made for about $325,000. That sounds like money. But in 1941, this was a small budget for a major movie. The studio didn't think this movie would be huge. They didn't spend a lot of money. They didn't have lots of special effects. They didn't have big action scenes. They had good actors, a good director, and a good script. That's all they needed. The money went to pay the actors and the crew. The money went to rent cameras and lights. The money went to film stock. There was no extra money for luxuries. There was no extra money for waste. Every penny was spent carefully. And with this small budget, John Huston created a masterpiece. He proved that great movies don't need lots of money. Great movies need great people and great ideas. The Maltese Falcon showed that you can make something amazing without unlimited resources. You need talent. You need discipline. You need focus. You need people who believe in the project. Money helps, but it's not the most important thing. The most important thing is creative skill and determination. The Maltese Falcon was made on a tight budget by people who knew exactly what they wanted. Number 3. The movie almost wasn't released. Because of World War II, The Maltese Falcon was finished filming in 1941. But the United States entered World War II in December of 1941. The country was suddenly at war. Everything changed. People were worried about survival. People were worried about their families. People were worried about the future. Movies about crime and treasure seemed unimportant. The studio executives were nervous about releasing the movie. Would people go to the movies during wartime? Would people care about a detective story when the country was at war? Should they delay the release? Should they change the movie? These were serious questions, but The Maltese Falcon was released anyway. And something surprising happened. People wanted to go to the movies. People wanted to escape their worries. People wanted to watch stories about crime and mystery and adventure. The movie became more successful because of the war. During difficult times, people needed entertainment. They needed escape. The Maltese Falcon gave them that escape. The movie that almost wasn't released became even more important. The timing was strange, but perfect. Sometimes bad things happening in the world make art more valuable. Number 2. The movie launched Bogart's career into the stratosphere. Before the Maltese Falcon, Humphrey Bogart was a working actor. He had jobs, he had paychecks, but he wasn't famous. He wasn't a star. Nobody knew his face. Nobody wanted to see movies just because Bogart was in them. But after the Maltese Falcon came out, everything changed. Suddenly, everyone wanted to see Bogart movies. He became one of the biggest stars in the world. He became an icon. He became the image of the tough detective. He became the image of the mysterious man. He became famous all over the world. Bogart went from being a regular working actor to being a legend. The movie changed his life. It changed his career. It changed his destiny. He made movies for the rest of his life, and all of them came after the Maltese Falcon gave him his chance. Without this one movie, Bogart might have spent his whole career in small, forgotten roles. But with this one movie, he became immortal. His name is still remembered today. His face is still recognized. His performance is still studied in acting schools. One movie, one role, one chance. That's all it took to transform an unknown actor into a legend. Number 1. The Maltese Falcon. Basically invented film noir. Film noir is a style of filmmaking. It's dark and serious and complicated. It uses shadows and moral ambiguity. It shows characters who aren't purely good or purely evil. It shows the dark side of the city. It shows crime and corruption and human weakness. Before the Maltese Falcon, this style didn't really exist. Movies were different. They were brighter. They were simpler. They had clearer good guys and bad guys. But the Maltese Falcon changed everything. It showed a new way to tell stories. It showed that movies could be dark, movies could be complicated. Movies could show the world as it really is, not as we wish it would be. After the Maltese Falcon came out, filmmakers copied this style. They made movies with shadows and moral ambiguity. They made movies about crime and corruption. They made movies that looked like the Maltese Falcon. A whole movement in film history started with this one movie. Film noir became important and famous. It influenced filmmakers for decades. It influenced filmmakers for generations. The Maltese Falcon didn't just become a great movie. It became a turning point in film history. One movie changed the entire direction of cinema. One movie created a new language for storytellers to use. Bonus fact: the secret treasure. Inside the bird. Here's something about the movie that few people know. The Maltese Falcon statue was supposed to be filled with something valuable. In the story, people die for this bird because it contains a precious treasure inside. But when the fake bird is opened in the movie, there's nothing inside. The statue is just empty lead covered with gold paint. It's worth nothing. It's fake. This moment reveals the truth about human nature. People fought and died for something worthless. They lied and killed for nothing. The real treasure was never the bird. The real treasure was in the deception. The real treasure was in what people believed. In real life, filmmakers used props. They used lighting tricks. They used camera angles to make fake things look real. The bird wasn't really valuable, but the movie made audiences believe it was valuable. The movie made audiences believe people would die for it. The filmmakers understood that the most powerful treasure is what people believe. The most powerful treasure is in the human mind. The bird was just a symbol of human desire, a symbol of what we chase, a symbol of what we destroy ourselves for. Old tools, new magic. Plaster and paint created a world. Simple props created human truth. The Maltese Falcon is more than just a detective movie. It's a story about what people will do when they want something badly enough. It's about the choices we make. It's about truth and lies. It's about courage and fear. The movie shows us that the treasure we chase might not be real. The people we trust might betray us. The world is complicated and dark. But that darkness is also beautiful. The movie shows us real human beings making real choices. The characters aren't perfect. They're broken and flawed and human. And that's what makes them real. That's what makes them matter. 100 years after it was made, people still watch the Maltese Falcon. People still feel what the characters feel. People still get excited by the story. This movie survived because it told the truth about human nature. It didn't pretend the world was simple. It didn't pretend people were purely good or purely evil. It showed the complicated, messy, real world. If you enjoyed these stories, please subscribe for more. Every movie hides a truth, and we'll keep uncovering them, one story at a time. Thank you for sitting with me and learning about the Maltese Falcon. See you next time.